Imagine. You live thousands of years ago. The world wasn't like it is today. There were no cities, no electricity, no internet. Just snow, ice, and wild animals hunting you at every turn. The temperature could kill you overnight. Food was scarce, and every step out of the cave could be your last. And yet, humans survived. How did they do it? What did they sacrifice? And what creatures lurked in the darkness of the Ice Age? This is the true story of the struggle of the first humans on Earth. A story left on stone walls, in frozen tunnels, and in the tiny flames that saved our civilization. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us which part gave you the most chills. Tens of thousands of years ago, the world turned into a frozen hell. Forests vanished beneath sheets of ice. Rivers froze into lifeless, crystalline rock. The wind pierced like 1,000 fine needles, howling through the night without pause. This was the Ice Age, a time when much of the Earth's surface was covered in ice so thick that not even sunlight could penetrate its darkness. Amidst this chaos, a small group of early humans struggled to survive. They were not the great hunters of modern tales. They were simply a small group with limited physical capabilities, meager tools, and a rudimentary knowledge of the world. But they had one thing: fear, which drove them on. They navigated snow-covered valleys, avoiding the highlands that had now become endless seas of ice. Amidst blizzards that whitened the sky, they took refuge in rock caves, clinging to each other to survive temperatures that could kill in a matter of hours. The caves were everything to them: a protective roof, a bed, a kitchen, and even a grave. The cold cave walls are covered with rough scratches, like messages left for whoever comes after them. Strange symbols are drawn in charcoal and animal blood. Some resemble suns, others human figures with their hands raised to the sky. No one knows for sure what they mean. Perhaps they are prayers, or perhaps they are simply reminders that they once lived amidst endless darkness. Makanan Hampir Tidak Ada. Rusa Kutub Dan Mammoth Mulai Lanka. Marika Harus Mengali Akarakar Tumbuhandari Tana Bikuatau Minkari Bangkai Huan Yong Tersisadari Sarangan Predator. Naman Sidiap Lanka Keluar Dari Gua Selaluman Gandung Riziko. Serigala Abu Abu Dan Kuking Bertering Padang Menjintai Dalam Senyap. Menunggu Kesalahan Kesel Dari Manusia Yang Kelaparan. Lalaki Dan Perempuan Berbajai Paran. Tidak Ada Waktu Untuk Membadakan Siapa Yang Lebih Kuat. Sidiap Tangon Debukan. Enak-enak Diajarkan Sejak Usiadini Untuk Membuat API. Sebuah Keterampilan Yang Memisakan Hidup Dan Mati. Tapi Ku Kiring Sulit Ditembukan. API Menjadi Hadiah Langka. Dan Sering Kali Marika Harus Menyalakan Ulang Bara Hanya Dengan Mengasekan Batu Kukulit Ku Selama Berjam-jam. Naman Swata Malam. Badai Salju Yang Bilam Pernah Marika Lihat Sebelumnya Mengentam Lemba Marika. Salju Turuan Bejita Deras Hingga Menyutupi Mulut Gua. Menggirang Marika di Dalam. Persediaan Makanan Tinggal Dua Potong Daging Kiring Dan Aries Yang Marika Lelakan Dengan Sisa API Yang Menjasal. Enak-enak Mulai Menanjas Kelaparan. Tubu-tubu Mulai Gemitar Tak Terkendali. Dan Disat Inala Sirang Perempuan Tua. Yang Selama Ini Dianggap Rapu. Berkata Sesuatu Yang Akan Menguba Segalanya. Suaranya Nyaris Tenggelam Ola Suara Badai. Menunjuk pada satu lorong sempit di dalam gua. Lorong yang bilam pernah dimasuki siapa pun karena dianggap buntu dan berbahaya. Tapi malam itu tidak ada pilihan lain. Dalam diam, satu persatu mereka mulai masuk ke dalam kegelapan lorong, tanpa tahu apa yang menanti di ujungnya. The passage was narrow and cold. The walls were damp, as if embracing the air with icy fingers. They crept slowly, almost groping blindly. The light from their makeshift torches could only illuminate a few steps forward. The smoke filled the passage, forcing them to hold their breath occasionally. But no one stopped. No one made a sound. Every step carried tension. Every drop of water falling from the stone ceiling made their hearts beat faster. Was there hope in here? Or was only death waiting in the darkness? The children were carried on the backs of their fathers and mothers. None of them complained. They were too tired for that. Only the sound of breathing and heartbeats served as a reminder that they were still alive. Then suddenly, a low rumbling sound could be heard, like rocks scraping against each other. They fell silent. The torches were raised high, and faintly, the passage began to widen. The air grew slightly warmer. There was a strange smell in it. Not the smell of death, but the dampness of living earth. Sign. They pressed on. And finally, the passage opened into a vast chamber, like the bowels of the earth welcoming them. The walls were adorned with sparkling ice crystals. In the center of the chamber, a stream of warm water flowed from a crack in the rock. Water that didn't freeze. A miracle amidst the frozen hell. The old woman smiled. She knew about this place from her grandmother's stories. A space called the warm belly of the earth. A sacred place their ancestors had used when the winters were too long. They built a small dwelling from the remaining animal skins. The remaining fires were moved and tended day and night. In this underground space of earth, they found respite from the slow death outside. The warm water was drinkable. The air was breathable. And on the walls of the room, they began drawing again. This time not symbols of fear but of hope. But hope never stands alone. A few days later, a trembling sound came from the passage they had passed through earlier. Not an earthquake, but footsteps, heavy, regular, as if something had also found its way in from outside. Something not human. They stared at each other, torches held tightly, small bodies hidden beneath the animal skins. No one knew what creature would emerge from the passage. But the sound of footsteps grew clearer, closer, as if chasing something, or someone. In that tense silence, there was a roar. Then the light of the torches they had left at the end of the hall went out one by one. Tension hung over the stone chamber like a suffocating fog. Everyone fell silent, as if even the sound of breathing could bring disaster. The last torch in the middle of the hallway went out. Complete darkness enveloped the entrance. Only a small flame in the center of the room guarded the thin line between hope and doom. Then, from the hallway, a shadow emerged. Thickly furred. Its eyes reflected the firelight like embers. For a moment they stood still, just staring at the creature. A cave bear, one of the deadliest predators of that era. Larger than modern bears, stronger than anything they could fight. It was hungry. It was lost. And now it stood just a few steps from their children. Everything seemed frozen. A young man gripped his spear, but his hands trembled. He knew that one strike from the beast's claws would be enough to shatter his bones. But he also knew that silence would mean the end. Before he could take a step, the same old woman, the one who had brought them here, slowly stood up. Her body was bent, her skin wrinkled, but her eyes burned with an unusual determination. He brings fire. With a bundle of dry fibers lit from the embers, she approached the bear, not with fear, but with quiet courage. The fire danced in her hand. The bear growled, hesitating for a moment. The beast might not have known humans, but it knew pain. It knew the red flames that had scorched its fur in previous seasons. The old woman stepped closer, a small torch swinging in her hand. Not attacking, just challenging. And the bear retreated. Slowly, then trotted back into the dark passage, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps receding, until finally it was gone. There were no cheers, no shouts of victory, just a grateful silence. They remained silent for a long time, listening to the nothingness. Only when they were sure the creature was truly gone did they breathe a sigh of relief. They spent the following days strengthening their shelter. They set traps at the mouth of the passage. They dug warm water channels to last longer. They began hunting again, farther away, more carefully. The children grew up with stories of that night's bravery. They drew the bear on the wall, alongside the small flame that had saved them. Season after season, humanity endured. Not because of strength, but because of togetherness, survival instincts, and inherited memories. Memories of darkness, and how a small flame could withstand a great darkness. And from those hidden caves beneath the frozen ground, humanity slowly stepped into the next era.